What is going on, everybody? It's the OddBall Sports Talk podcast. Joining me as always, Alex Bomberry, Brody Levine, and Big Boots Baby. Today we got a special guest for you. Joining us from the Orange is the New Black podcast, please give a nice welcome to Zim WhoDey.
Yes, sir.
How you guys doing tonight?
Oh, yeah.
Boys ready to talk some football? Let's go.
Let's go.
Thank you so much for being on the show. We've been trying to get him on for a while. Super grateful he could be with us. So we're going to start off with an interview we got for him. I'm going to be asking the first couple questions. So my question for you, did you ever play football? If so, how far did you get, and what position did you play?
So, great question. Yeah, I did play football. I live in the Maryland, D.C. area, so I played football in PG County, which houses a lot of athletes, especially in basketball these days. But I played all the way to about the 10th grade. I broke my ankle and I just never came back. But I played cornerback. When I was in, I want to say like Boys and Girls Club and stuff, I was playing like linebacker, or, they have you anywhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was pretty cool. But I love the game, though. All of my friends, all of my childhood friends, like my childhood best friend is the assistant coach at Maryland U. My best friend is the athletic trainer for the Tennessee Titans. I just always been connected to sports, and I never, when I was young, I just went to every single game.
Yeah, for sure.
I have a fun fact, though. Russell Wilson, I went to NC State. Russell Wilson was my lab partner in college.
Really?
Your lab partner?
Right.
Yo, that's dope.
That's what's up. My next question is, how did you get to become a Bengals fan?
So when I was young, I had family in Cincinnati, so I would go travel to Cincinnati kind of often, not too much, but I just fell in love. I used to watch a lot of old clips and stuff because I was a big, at the time, don't kill me, but I used to, y'all probably don't know this, but I used to like Joe Montana. So, if you're a Cincy fan or older Cincy fan, you absolutely hate Joe Montana because what he did to the Bengals. So, that was a thing when I was, really young. And it just kind of grew where I just started getting more knowledge on players and stuff. And then I think I met, Ickey Woods one time. And then I have a family. Another cool thing that's going to happen. It turns out, I didn't want it to, cloud what I'm doing right now, but I have a family member that I found out later that played for the Bengals. That is a pretty well-known Bengals player. But I was when we won the championship and stuff, I would let all that out. But I didn't want people to be like, oh, that's such and such's nephew or something like that, and me be connected to that, especially if I'm all cussing and all this other stuff like that. So
yeah. Okay. I'll go next year. I got one podcast related and then one Bengals related. So what are just some tips you would give people like us that are trying to start up a brand new podcast?
So for me, I was doing it early on my own, for a while. And I just was going in and just being real passionate. So many people would try to when I started to grow some, they would try to throw different offers at me and get me to sign and stuff like that to different contracts and stuff. But I knew I wanted to do my own thing. What I do for a living now, I just do my own thing. I'm not really good with working for people. I'm good with working with people. And so for me, early on, it was just try to do what I do. I naturally wake up every single day and look at Bengals news anyway. It's just a reflection of what I was doing on Instagram. And it's just a reflection of, how I feel about the Bengals. And I just keep it true to that. Eventually, as you go along, you'll have obligations to certain stuff as you boys grow into the stuff. You got certain things you got to do. You can't do everything the way that you want to do it. But, for the most part, just stay true to what you do. And if you really, really like it, it's so simple because, there's a million people out there that love the Bengals, or there's millions and millions of people that love football. So it's not like you have to convince people to like football. You know what I'm saying? So you just stay on that route and just do your thing. See what you can offer. That's I'm a little different anyway, so I'm naturally going to mix the drip. I'm gonna have all the different music mixing with my stuff. I'm gonna just mix it up anyway, just naturally, and I'm just gonna talk like how I talk, and that's what you gotta do, because there's a million people that talk just like you that they'll be like, oh yeah, you know, like I agree with him, or so million people that don't like what you're saying, and those people gonna follow too. So just stay true to what you do. Like, don't be trying to. You see somebody else doing it and be like, oh yeah, I'm about to do my show like that. Like, that's gonna flop.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel you. Appreciate that. And then my Bengals question is going to be, who's the most underrated player on the Bengals roster, in your opinion, that doesn't always get the respect they deserve?
I think the most underrated football player in the National Football League right now is Tyler Boyd. I don't know if he's the most underrated on the Bengals or for Bengals fans, but I guess for me, it's like Tyler Boyd, because for real, he's like a top 5 wide receiver, possibly in the NFL. If you're looking at a lot of like, I look at it like I have like a subscription to like Next Gen Stats, and I look at like, and that's another thing too. Y'all should like kind of invest in getting information. So like, I have a pro football focus thing. I start looking at like when players are on the field and when they're off the field, how do they help your team, stuff like that. Like, he impacts like the team, and he helps them like probably more than like 95% of the players in the NFL. I think Jesse Bates around the league, you know, people like, even when we played Washington, like, people were like, yeah, what's that safety's name? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not a household name, so I don't know if you could call that underrated. But, I mean, before the season, you know, some of the fans were kind of writing him off a little bit because last season wasn't that great. But now, he's definitely the most underrated as far as, like, this dude is about to go be all pro. But not too many people know who Jesse Bates is outside of, you know, Bengals fans, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So my question is, who's your favorite NFL player of all time besides like Bengals players, and who's your favorite player in the league right now who's not on the Bengals?
Great question. All right, my favorite player that's not on the Bengals that I think is absolutely like a dog, and it just reminds me of I just like everything about him, is Alvin Kamara. Like, he just got so much finesse to his game.
Mm-hmm.
And people call me like, they're like, you know, like, I don't just talk like I just love every single Bengal player, but I took a lot of flack. I told people, I said, Joe Mixon will never be Alvin Kamara, in my opinion. And a lot of people were like, what do you know, like Joe Mixon, like, I'm not looking at stats. Like, you go watch an Alvin Kamara game or whatever, like, he makes 2-3 special plays a game. You could watch a Bengals game for 3-4 weeks, and you might not really notice Joe Mixon going too crazy. And the crazy thing is, Joe Mixon is a top 5 running back in this league. That's how big the gap to me from Alvin Kamara is for a lot of running backs. Like, I feel like Alvin Kamara is better than CMC just because of the way he plays. It's just like I just like the way he plays. It might not be like, you know, like the attributes. Some guys might be a little bit faster than him. Some guys might run a little bit harder than him. But he's like a perfect mix, if you know, and then he plays with diamonds in his mouth. Like, come on, bro. Like, like who's doing that? Like, I mean, my man got diamonds in his mouth as he's running a football. Like, you know, like, that is like hard. Like, that's just, I'm all about that type of stuff. So that is that. My favorite. The first part was, who's my favorite Bengal player of all time?
Favorite player of all time in general.
That's a tough one. I think my favorite player, you guys are a little young, but Barry Sanders is probably the greatest running back of all time, and it's not even close. Yeah. I mean, I'm a late 80s baby, so, you know, like me watching Barry Sanders, like, nobody in the league. Like, if Barry Sanders was running like right now, like that, like, nobody would be able to stop that. Nobody moves like that right now. The closest person to that would be like Tyreek Hill or somebody. Like, I don't even know. Like, Barry Sanders wasn't that fast, but nobody has that stop and go like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's a good question though. But that's one of my favorite players. I just like having fun. This season, I thought it was so dope that it was just fun. For years, I would say, don't y'all miss offense? You know, like, you boys ever heard of offense? Like, everybody would be like, we need defense. Defense wins championship. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but everybody over here, Pat Mahomes is dropping 40 on people's head every week, and it's fun as hell to watch. You know what I'm saying? Like, Joe Burrow made it super fun to watch. Like, I'm all about offense. So it's like, some guys I just think are really, really fun to watch. And, you know, Barry Sanders, Alvin Kamara are really, really fun to watch.
Brody.
All right, so I got two questions for you. The first one is, if there was one team other than the Bengals you'd like to see win a Super Bowl, who would it be and why?
None. Next question.
All right. What inspired you to start a sports podcast?
Ride in my car like all day, every day. So I listen to everybody's pod all day. Like I probably like if y'all gave me the link to this thing, I'm gonna probably listen to it like Monday, Tuesday. I listen like if the pod is like good for real, like I listen to a lot of pods, like because I'm just in my car all day. And I listen to music a lot when people get in my car, but when I'm by myself, I like to think a lot. And a lot of times like pods, I just play it in the background, kind of like guys your age just probably like watch YouTube and it's in the background or something. Like you don't have to listen to every single thing. And I think pods are like really good for that. Because on YouTube, I feel like in my phone, every time I'm on YouTube, somebody like tries to like message me or something. So I got to get out of it because I don't pay for like YouTube Red or something. So I could never get into YouTube. But like pods, I don't know. Like I like those guys, like the old guys, like, you know, it's a couple old guys that I really like listen to because it's just easy. It's a calming voice. It's an art to it. Like the more and more you listen to it or whatever. I mean, before I had my pod or whatever, like I was just listening to it for probably like a year before I said I'm gonna just do one. But like some people have a good voice. Tony Pipe, if he started up a pod, it would be like really, really good. He just has a good voice. You know, some people got it, some people don't. You know, some people are ugly like myself that just can't go on TV.
All right. So moving on, we're gonna have a quick discussion about the Bengals. So really, what we want to focus on is the Joe Burrow injury. Obviously, was huge, not only to the Bengals but to the entire NFL. Devastating injury. What does it mean for his career and the Bengals' future? And then really what's next for the Cincinnati Bengals? I'll start off and then we'll go with Zim. Next is Alex, Brody, Ben. So for me, really, I'm just at a loss for words. You know, it just really just heart-wrenching, really tough to watch. Was kind of expected for him to go down at some point in the season, but not like that. That was really tough to see. Especially to somebody who was so likable as Joe Burrow. He really gave not only the team, but just that entire fan base and city just hope. So it was really tough to watch him go down like that. I think luckily it's early in his career and he's able to bounce back. He's the toughest football player. I'd go as far as saying the toughest football player in the NFL. That man has taken the most hits as a quarterback, and he takes it every week like a champ. I think in the Bengals' future, I could see Joe Burrow coming back week 2, week 3. I personally don't think he's going to be ready for week 1. And even if he is, don't let him play. Play it safe. I think we need to go with somebody like Sewell in the draft, beef up that offensive line. But if I'm the Bengals, I'm not going 2 straight picks of offensive line. Quentin Spain's a starter in the NFL. Akeem Adeniji is a starter in the NFL. Jonah Williams is a starter in the NFL. I think as soon as you get Sewell out of the draft, it will leave you with maybe one hole. And you can find that in free agency later in the draft. When you look at what's really been killing us, just look at 2 weeks ago. Ben Roethlisberger sat in that pocket and dropped dimes right over the Bengals' heads because he had all day to throw. Outside of Carl Lawson and maybe Sam Hubbard, we don't have any real pass rushing threats. So I think they should target that in the mid rounds of the draft. Linebackers, I think Akeem Davis-Gaither is a freak athlete, and I think he's going to be really good. Logan Wilson already showing really good promise. On the back end, I think LaShawn Simmons is playing his best football that he's played in his entire career. And William Jackson III, although he's seen a decline recently, I think he's still good enough to start. I don't really think we need to be looking at the secondary. It's a love-hate relationship with me with Von Bell. I've always hated Sean Williams. I've been adamant about getting him out of the secondary for a really long time. But I think Von Bell is a good leader, as he was voted captain. but sometimes you see him maybe lack off in coverage. Teams are getting those easy out routes against our defense, which I don't completely put on the defense. I think Lou Anaramo has something to do with that. I hope he's gone next year. I can't stand to watch him continue to coach our defense. But, yeah, that's really how I see the Bengals panning out. Offensive linemen, definitely. Defensive linemen. DJ Reader coming back from injury. Trey Wayne's coming back from injury. We have pieces in place. There's holes, definitely. But once we get those holes cleared up, I think we could be a force to be reckoned with.
I liked a lot about a lot of different things that you said. I think LaShawn Sims was the one I was probably like, I just can't stand LaShawn Sims. I feel like if you look at the Browns game, like they really picked on him. William Jackson, like you said, it's a little bit of a down year, but they don't really have too many other options. So I don't think anybody's going to probably pay him what the Bengals would pay, and I think that might keep him there. And I think him with a really good defensive line and a really good counterpart on the other side of him, he'll see the benefits of it, and he'll play a lot better as well too. It's just so many guys out. It's so hard. That's what I was telling Ace, and I was telling somebody else the other day. It's so hard to like really, for these next couple of weeks, it's really hard to like get tape and figure out who you keep, who you don't, because there's so many bodies missing. You know, one of the guys that I really, really like was Josh Tupou, who I thought like when I cut the film on last year, like he was a big force. Like Glasgow had some really good plays too, but it's a lot of guys that are missing. If I were to go in the draft, it seems like a layup, just like a quick, easy layup, just the same way you just got Burrow. If Penny is there, the number 3 pick, or if you happen to get to the 4th pick or something like that, like if Penny is there, it seems like a no-brainer. But with a lot of different question marks on his team, the option of trading back is going to be there. And when I say trade back, it's going to be like the trade back to like 15 to 22, something like that. Is the tackle of the future right there? I'm not sure. But then that would mean you'd probably go to free agency and go get like a Brandon Sheriff or somebody like that. Like, but you absolutely have to go get the future tackle of this football team. Like the fans are going to kill them in the front office. The fans will kill the Bengals and they will rebel against everything. Like, because it's just like every year. One year was we don't have a center. We don't have 1 year was we don't have a center. 1 year was we didn't have a linebacker. Everybody goes, all right, we want this. We got to have this. And the Bengals organization usually gives it to them. So no matter if they went and got, you mentioned Akeem Adeniji, the fans won't give him a chance, you know. So it's just it's a tough thing to, you know, a tough pill to swallow. But Penny seems like a no-brainer. You work off of that. You go get you another signing on the defensive front. You know, maybe Xavier Silva-Filo level like guy for the defensive front. You know, $4 or $5 million, somebody like a really good piece. But you're going to have like Tupou coming back. You're going to have Renell Wren coming back. You're going to have DJ Reader coming back. So there's a lot of good pieces in place, but they got to fix the offensive line. When Marvin Lewis left, that was the one time he ever spoke to ESPN. He said they got to fix the line. I always remember that. And I was like, what is he saying that? And, you know, it is what it is. But I think that's the number one thing is fix the trenches. After that, you can start worrying about everything. And you're talking to a guy that just loves wide receivers. So for me to say that, it's time. They just can't avoid it anymore.
Yeah, I'll go next. I agree with a lot of what you said. Starting with the Joe Burrow injury, though, coming from a Packers fan, I'm not a Bengals fan, but this was a guy that was loved around the league. And I think he really had that, like, cool guy persona to him, kind of like an old-fashioned feel, and he was a great player. So that one is pretty heart-wrenching for, like, a lot of teams, I'd say. But I couldn't even imagine Aaron Rodgers going down like that. It's happened in the past, but nothing quite like that. So my condolences to you fellow Bengals fans. But when it comes to the future, I think protecting that guy, like you have the receivers in place now, it seems like T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd is a deadly duo, and I'd say top 5 duo in the league right now. It's crazy. So if you can get this guy who's an absolute playmaker with the ball, time in the pocket, I think they have an offensive attack that's great. But when you look at the other side of the ball, I agree with you, Kobe. D-line needs a lot of emphasis. It's really unfortunate that Tack McKinley failed his physical or whatever, and that didn't pan out. I think that would have been huge for the Bengals. But, yeah, looking to this year's draft, I mean, I'm not sure. I'd say if there were to be a positive to come out of the Joe Burrow injury at all, it'd be that it happened. I know we're a little over halfway through the year right now, but you're in a spot where, like, is Ryan Finley going to be able to win games? And if he's not, isn't that a good thing for your draft order? I mean, you guys are set up to probably have another top 5 pick, because I just don't know if Ryan Finley is the answer. Obviously not. Joe Burrow's the guy, but I mean, like, going forward, I just don't see Finley winning games. So having such a high pick, like you said, Zim, I mean, trading back is a good option to get more picks and kind of spread the love around. But if you're looking at that like 3 to 5 range, I think definitely take a tackle, and that helps your future. Just being able to rely on your offense to win games when your defense doesn't show up, because it's bound to happen in the NFL. So, yeah.
Alex, stop.
Ben, you want to go?
Yeah, I think that like the tackle position needs to be addressed, and I just love our offense right now when Joe Burrow is safe in the pocket. Like, look at the Titans game, no sacks, and Joe Burrow was out there slinging it and getting stuff done. And he's going to be a very great passer and player if we can protect him. But there also is the problem of we have to be able to stop people too. Like, you can't always outscore a team. Like, for example, like when we go against like Pittsburgh twice every year, they got a great defense. We got to be able to stop them too, because our offense isn't going to be able to score every time. So I think I really like the idea. So my thought is, like, if Penne's not there and there's not really another like go-to like tackle prospect, like, because right now there really is, from what I've seen, there really isn't one like that would be like good to go with like right away, make a starter. So I like the idea of like getting out of that like top 5 range, get more picks. That way you can like address a lot of needs and also pick up tackle prospects as you go. I also think that Auden Tate needs a little bit more playing time, like in red zone coverage, like when we're in the red zone, just because of his ability to come down with the ball, like on a fade type route. But yeah.
All right. So for me, watching a lot of Bengals games this year, being from the Dayton area, Joe Burrow's injury, we'll start. It was bad. Torn MCL, torn ACL, bone structure damage. That's never good. But at the same time, he's young, early on in his career. Will it hurt his mobility? Of course, it's going to hurt his mobility. But I feel like under the Bengals offense, like we had talked about, if you can beef up that offensive line, which is what they need most right now, I think he'll be just fine, because in their system, he throws well in the pocket. That's kind of his job. But aside from like an occasional quarterback draw, I see him sit and throw in the pocket more than anything else, or a little outside of it. Regarding the Bengals' future, again, I'm not a big Bengals fan. I'm a Colts fan, so I don't know a ton about the Bengals, but I do know from going to the Bengals-Browns game and watching a lot of the defensive flaws that they have. Their defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo, that's his name, right? Yeah. He's pressing on the second to last play of the game against the Browns on a guy that just got burnt by Donovan Peoples-Jones the play before, gets burnt again, touchdown in the corner of the end zone, game ends that way. Heartbreaker for Cincinnati. Just the countless errors on the offensive line, watching, guys just get blown past in the pass rush. A couple years ago, you drafted Billy Price. Billy Price didn't pan out. He's now a second string guy. He's starting in front of injuries. I think the biggest thing is defensive play calling and the offensive line. That's what needs to shape. And for what I see,
You say you're a Colts fan. What did you observe from the Colts game? Why do you think the Colts beat the Bengals?
I think, okay, so when I watched the start of the game, I was sweating bullets. Like, they come out, they smack us in the mouth. It's 21-0.
21-0.
Right. And it looked like they let off the gas, as if like defensively they kind of quit. Offensively, it wasn't clicking as well as it was. And I think the Colts just took advantage of a team that kind of got comfortable. And I think whenever the Bengals get a lead, they get comfortable on defense, and that's when I think the sloppy play calling comes in.
Well, and like you said, okay, what really did it for me with Lou was pressing on the second to last play of the game.
Exactly.
When you can give up a field goal to tie the game, you just are strictly playing not to give up a touchdown. Why are you pressing? To me, the play.
You want to know why he was pressing though? He was pressing because when they played the Colts, they did the exact opposite. They wanted to cover 3 shell, and then they just allowed Phillip Rivers to just carve him up. So they said, all right, we're never going to let that happen again. We're going to press him. Right. We're going to press him with our worst corners. And when we blitz, we're not even going to press up on those guys. Like, that game was crazy.
Exactly. And like you said, Brody, you were sweating bullets when they were down 21-0. I was sweating when they were still winning 21-0 because seeing what we've done over the past few years, like we can hold on to a lead, but maybe. I mean, you saw what they did. I think we sat back and played a lot of cover 3. Those corners were wide open. Von Bell got burned on at least 3 in that entire game, which is really why I really do like him, but more in that hybrid linebacker position. I don't think putting him back there. If we go for a safety in free agency or the draft, I wouldn't hate it because I still despise Sean Williams. But like you said, the defensive coordinator is not calling the right plays.
I'm sorry I got you off topic. It just seemed like he was talking about the Browns game, but I'm like, he's a Colts fan, so so like tell me what did you see in the Colts game? Like you know what I mean? Like, because we had you 21-0 in that game, honestly, if we had just one pass rusher, we'd have blown the doors off them dudes.
Yeah.
That was the thing too, watching that Colts game. I feel like the pass rush, this is coming from a Colts fan, like a lot of the games that we haven't won this year, or the 3 games that we haven't won, they've had a really good pass rush on us. And Phillip Rivers is the most immobile quarterback I think I've ever seen play football. Literally, we're not even going to talk about his tackling skills, but literally, dude cannot move. And I think if the Bengals would have just sent more guys, not every play, but, occasionally, I feel like you definitely get a different outcome. And I feel like that Bengals defense is still on fire throughout the rest of that game. Now, regarding the Browns game, the only reason the press didn't make sense to me was because that same DB had gotten burnt by Donovan Peoples-Jones the play prior to get them to that position, and they did the same thing again. That's why I questioned it so much because, at least from when I would play football, I mean, Kobe still plays football. Like, you make adjustments to that stuff to hide your weak spots, and I don't think they did at all.
Causing bad spots mixed with bad play calling just didn't look too pretty. But we got to move on. We're going to be talking about the NFL playoffs here. We have our biggest sleeper to make it to the Super Bowl, so maybe a wild card team or somebody that's not the top 2 seed that you can see maybe going to the Super Bowl. Our Super Bowl prediction, the 2 teams you see in there and who you have winning, and then one team in the hunt with the best chance to make it to the playoffs. So we're going to start off. Zim, go ahead.
I gotta start it off.
Yeah.
And I just got caught up. All right. I can't remember all that. Give me.
I'll give you one by one. So
give me one by one.
So who would you say you think the biggest sleeper to make it to the Super Bowl is?
To make it to the Super Bowl? Sheesh. Bro, like, I would never commit to saying the Browns, but I don't even like their team. I'm gonna say that our biggest sleeper probably the Patriots, because to me you can never count them out. Nobody's thinking about them, but some weird way I think they'll still make the playoffs. You might could put the Dolphins in there, but I can't see them going on a Super Bowl run. They do have the defense I don't know if y'all ever saw Pat Mahomes go play the Chargers. Like, I have NFL Game Pass, so I just randomly go back and I go see the games that gave the best teams the biggest problems. Mm-hmm. When they played the Chargers, bro, like, they did not look like a phenomenal offense. Like, our offense looked, well, some of our offenses, some of us Bengals fans, and our offense looked better. So, if the Chiefs run into a team with a really good pass rush like the Steelers, I think the Steelers actually could probably beat them, and as much as that pains me to say it. But just a wild card though, like Patriots, because like I said, it seems weird to say it, but nobody's thinking Patriots. They get in like the 6, 7. I mean, now you got 7 seeds. They get in there in a 7 seed. Belichick's going to take away what you do best. You know, it is what it is. All right, what's the next one? I forgot.
The next one is your two teams making the Super Bowl. So just Super Bowl prediction, and then who do you think's going to win ultimately?
Steelers are one. I mean, it seems so. I feel like they could lose, they have a habit of playing down in the competition. I could see them like losing, like a stupid game like that they shouldn't. I could see that happening. But Steelers I'm gonna just run with that one. Going to the Super Bowl, teams don't double up. I can't see the Chiefs going back to back, even though I think they're a better team. All right, so Steelers are one, and then on the other side, I'm gonna go with Green Bay.
Yeah, Alex likes that one.
I appreciate.
I mean, quarterback is king. You know, you saw what I always say that I have this philosophy. I say for Joe Burrow, for people that think that the Bengals are a terrible organization or so, the difference between the Packers and the Bengals is Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. You know, like literally, like they don't go out and go get big time dollar free agents year after year. For the first time, they did it this past year because they did what I call the Aaron Rodgers situation. Quarterbacks make front offices go do whatever the hell they say, and that was the beauty of getting Joe Burrow versus getting Chase Young. As much as I love Chase Young, like you have to listen to what he says because he'll look like an idiot if you don't go do what they say, and then the quarterback walks. So I love that factor that Aaron Rodgers always can call the shots. I know he was probably shocked by them drafting what's the kid?
Jordan Love.
He's probably shocked, but at the same time, he's still calling the shots. Ben Roethlisberger, as old as he is, he's still calling the shots. He's the reason why Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell aren't there anymore. They call the shots.
Yeah. What I see between Aaron and Joe a lot is they're making the players around them better. So, like, if you look at a guy like Devontae Adams, great talent, but the only reason he's able to go out every week and show that talent is because he has one of the best arms in the league throwing it to him. Same thing with Tyler Boyd. The production from Tyler Boyd, when you go from Ryan Finley to Joe Burrow, is just a world of difference. And now us fans are like able to see that Tyler Boyd is a top 5 receiver possibly in the NFL, and that's because of Joe Burrow. So.
And Devontae Adams is a top 5 wide receiver. And Devontae Adams is the best route runner in the National Football League right now, period.
100%.
I didn't know Stephon Diggs didn't exist.
Oh, God.
I have Diggs on my fantasy, so, I love
That's
Diggs.
Devontae, so.
Kobe, it's enough.
My team is my fantasy team is probably the greatest fantasy team you've ever seen. I swear people think that I paid for this team. It's so amazing. I'm serious. This is lethal stuff. I would ruin if I was in your league. I would destroy you.
Probably.
I'm dead serious. Brody, you want some? You want smoke?
Hey, I got Kyler Murray, Calvin Cook, and Devontae Adams.
All I'm saying is
Hold up.
200 points.
And Blankenship.
I dropped 200 every week.
Bro, what?
Joe Burrow on my bench or whatever. I had to drop him, but hold up. Can y'all see this? You can't see this, can you?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Herbert, Swift.
I got Herbie at quarterback too. Great.
Cooks, Diggs, Henry, Steelers defense, Justin Tucker, A.J. Brown on the bench, A.J. Green on the bench. Mike Davis on the bench, Carson Wentz, Lamar Jackson on the bench. I will destroy you. What's the next question?
The next one you already answered. It's just the team in the hunt with the best chance to make the playoffs. You already said it was the Patriots. Right, it was Patriots.
Yeah. My sleeper pick was the Patriots.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
so the other one is just a team in the hunt that's not in the playoffs right now that you think has the best chance. So.
Patriots on the outside. They're not in the 7th spot right now.
I don't think so.
No, it was the Ravens. The Ravens lost, so it would be Tennessee, I think.
The 7th spot
and I don't like
is
Tennessee at all.
Vegas right now.
Yeah,
It's Vegas.
Okay.
Oh, you know what though? I do like Vegas though.
Me
And
too.
then you got a
They're a good team.
Yeah, and you got a coach that's been there before, knows how to go to the Super Bowl. Like people hated Gruden, but I really like.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask y'all about coaching. I don't want to change the subject. Coaching wise, right? Y'all watch college football?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so why do y'all think Harbaugh like is hated on so much? I know, like for me, I don't watch college football like I used to, but Harbaugh in the NFL, college football. This is why I stopped watching college football. It's all about recruiting, and all y'all care about is the uniform. Like people don't even care about the players anymore, right? But Harbaugh in the NFL is a dog, and I was trying to tell people like he is an amazing NFL coach. I don't know what happened to him in college. I don't know how many times he's lost to Ohio State,
No.
but I want Harbaugh to be our coach. That's who I wanted, but people think I'm crazy.
Now, okay. So
He
I'll
can't
speak,
beat
and then if
Can't beat his rivals is the problem. That's why he's so hated. Like his
Yeah.
records over the years is pretty good. Like there are only like 1 or 2 losses each year. But the
But
fact that
what's his players like? None of them players get drafted like top 10. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't recruit.
he doesn't know how to
Right.
recruit,
That's
And, like-
his problem. Yeah.
everybody freaks out when he loses to Ohio State each year. Or he loses to Wisconsin, teams like that, Big Ten
Right.
teams. And
Yeah,
like,
the guy can clearly coach a team up when the talent's there, and that's why it was working out so well for him in the NFL. I mean, you got scouts going out and making sure they're drafting the best people possible. So
Right.
it probably is just prospecting isn't his thing. Trying to get people to come up from high school to college, it just works differently for him than college to the NFL, I'm sure. But I mean, I see him having a successful career in the NFL in the future too.
right, and when you look, he led that
That
49ers
Niners team.
with
Yeah.
Kaepernick to a Super Bowl, and it really spoke well. But the reason why he's not succeeding in college, he can't recruit, horrible at recruiting. He's losing to rivals. But if you look, that 62-point game, they lost because their defensive coordinator couldn't stop crossing routes. Paris Campbell and KJ Hill ran circles around that defense. So not necessarily the biggest fault to John Harbaugh and what he's doing in Michigan, but
Jim.
oh, my bad, Jim.
John's on the
Yeah.
Jim.
So not complete fault to Jim, but I think once he gets back in the NFL, it'll be a lot better. He'll have established players. He won't have to go out and recruit for more. But personally, for me, I think Eric Bieniemy is the best coordinator.
What about Joe Brady?
Daniels.
What about Joe Brady though? I'm sorry to get you off key.
Oh no,
The other
And that's
guys
another
they didn't even ask. They
That's
didn't
another-
answer the question.
Actually,
right, and that's another thing. You look at Joe Brady. What he did with Joe Burrow and LSU, that would be disgusting. I'm pissed that we didn't get him last year, and we stuck with. I don't even know who we have at offensive coordinator because I know Zach Taylor calls the plays. So, but no, when you look at Joe
We
Brady,
had Brian Callahan. He came from Vegas. But,
yeah, right. We had Callahan. But no, when you look at what Joe Brady brings to the table, he knows Joe Burrow's style of play, and he knows what he likes the most. I think he could be just as good, if not better, than Eric Bieniemy. But I don't see Eric Bieniemy coming to the Bengals. Although he does have ties to the Bengals. I also don't see Joe Brady leaving.
interviewed.
Yeah.
He
I
interviewed and
have
they didn't
a-
like that. They didn't like the interview.
Yeah.
I have a
So-
question real quick for you, Zim. Do you like Zach Taylor as a coach?
Hell no. He would have been a lit coordinator though, but
Yeah.
nah.
Yeah, I really liked him at offensive coordinator. Really upset that we went the head coaching route with him. I would have rather tried Eric Bieniemy.
For 3 weeks out of the season, we were like one of my I watched every game every week. Like if I don't watch it on Red Zone, I go back. Like if it's a real good game, like for 3 weeks out of the season, around the Titans time, the Eagles game, and I forgot the other game, but we were like the most exciting offense in the National Football League. Like more exciting than the Chiefs, bro. Like it was, it was fun. But from a winning standpoint and just the everyday rigors of being a coach or whatever, he doesn't really get it, and we can't learn on the fly, especially not in the 4-year window of Joe Burrow, and that's the problem I have with him. I guess.
Right. Okay, so moving on with the playoff predictions. Next is Alex. So sleeper to make Super Bowl prediction and team in the hunt.
Yeah, so sleeper to make the Super Bowl, it's going to be Vegas for me, especially after this past primetime game against the Chiefs. So they've now beaten the Chiefs and then lost in a heartbreaker there. But, I mean, when you give Pat Mahomes a minute and a half, game's over. I'm sorry. Most talented player in the league right now probably. But the Raiders have so much so much playmaking ability on offense that they can pick apart defenses very easily. And a big part of that, I think, is like just a well-run team by Gruden. I think he's a great coach. But their defense is definitely going to have to kind of come together there. They have playmakers on defense too. I mean, Crosby on the edge, getting Abrams back was huge for them. He is a dog of a player. So he's going to help in the long run. But they definitely need to kind of come together and get it clicking there. So I got, Raiders, sleeper to make the Super Bowl. Sleeper, like team in the hunt that I think could find their way into the playoff. An honorable mention would be Baltimore. There's a good chance they find their way back and take over Cleveland for that spot. But I'd give it to Miami. I know they're coming off a bad week, bad loss to Denver, not a game they should have lost by any means. But that defense is crazy. They're playing so well, and that's going to be able to carry them and give Tua the chance to really perform in games to take them to that next level. And even if Tua isn't in the game like we saw last week, that was a weird situation. But I mean, Fitzmagic, he was playing well before he got pulled out. They were on a 3-game win streak. So I think they have the edge over teams like Denver and New England, but wouldn't be smart to count Belichick out. So that's always a possibility, but I'll give it to Miami. And then my Super Bowl prediction, I'm going away from the bias here. I'm not even going to factor in the Packers. So my Super Bowl would be Seattle versus Kansas City. So starting in the AFC, I see the Chiefs coming out of the AFC, no doubt. You can't deny the fact that the Steelers haven't lost a game yet this year. That's incredibly hard to do. But when you look at their team, they just don't always show up every week. So when I'm looking at them, let's say they get the bye, even though that's not guaranteed to them. They're only 1 game ahead for the bye. Even if they get that bye, that's 3 weeks straight. They're going to have to show up and beat a good football team. I don't see it happening. Great coach in Tomlin, so he could totally get that team ready to do so. But I would give the edge to Andy Reid and the Chiefs, well-run team with an explosive offense. And then in the NFC, Seattle, Russell Wilson, if so much pressure wasn't put on him every single week, he would still be the MVP frontrunner. And they'll eventually at some point get Chris Carson back. But in the meantime, DJ Dallas and Travis Homer are doing all right enough, getting by. But we saw their defense come out to play against Arizona this week, which is something that we haven't seen all season, even against bad offenses. So if their defense gets clicking, they're most definitely the Super Bowl favorite, in my opinion, in the NFC side. Saints, Packers, Tampa, all good teams, but I do think Russell Wilson and the Seahawks have the advantage over all of them if they can get help from their defense. And if I had to pick one to win, by the way, I see the Chiefs repeating.
Oh.
Hard to do, but great team. So
Las Vegas gonna make sure that don't happen. Something funny gonna happen. I promise you. It's so hard to look.
That's a game I'm really hoping for that we get to see again in the playoffs.
Yeah, Brody.
All right, so I'm gonna start with my sleeper, and I couldn't leave my team out of this episode. I'm going with the Colts because they just beat up on Green Bay. They look complete. I thought they looked complete this week with Green Bay. Phillip Rivers played well. One play that stuck out to me was the pitch and catch to Trey Burton in the back of the end zone. It was perfect ball, perfect spot. I think if Phillip Rivers plays like that, and the Colts defense can hold the way it's been all year, Darius Leonard, the maniac, is back. He's going to play well. He always does. Kenny Moore has done really well. Our only questionable corner all year has been Rock Yassin. And
Played a good game last week.
He did play a good game last week. He's played well recently. Denico Autry, he's been good for us this year. Justin Houston, great player. Offensively, Michael Pittman's back. Michael Pittman was huge. Michael Pittman's been very good. Same with Nyheim Hines. I've praised Nyheim Hines for a few weeks now. Like I said, he stepped into a big role. We're still waiting for that production from Jonathan Taylor, and that offensive line is that offensive line's a beast. You can just run it behind Quentin Nelson all day, and you're going to get 5 yards a carry. Now, for my sleeper teams, I mean, this is obvious just because they just got knocked out of the 7th spot. It's the Ravens for the AFC. I mean, you could say the Dolphins. Yeah, you could say the Dolphins. You could say the Patriots. You could say any of those. But I think it's the Ravens. I think they're just too good of a team to be left out. Going over to the NFC, hear me out. I think it could be the Giants. I think if the Giants can win their division, or, because that NFC East division, NFC East division is really weak. And I think the Giants have played a lot better recently, and I think if they can keep up the way they've been playing recently, I think they can make it to the wild card. I don't think they're going to make it farther than that, but I think for sure they definitely could knock on the door of getting in the playoffs. Now, for my Super Bowl prediction in the AFC, actually, you know what? My whole Super Bowl game, it's the same as yours, Alex. I got the Chiefs and the Seahawks. AFC-wise, I just like you said, Alex, I agree with every point that you said there. I don't think the Steelers can be consistent for 3 weeks and beating 3 good football teams. I just don't see a lot of people posing a huge threat to Kansas City, except maybe the Raiders or maybe the Colts. I mean, I will throw the Steelers in that mix as well, just because they are in the AFC. But I think the Chiefs have a fairly easy route to the Super Bowl. Going into the NFC with the Seahawks, there was a lot of teams I could have put here, but, in the past we've seen Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson just, get that offense going like it always has been. And for some reason, Seattle's whole team decides to step up in the playoffs every year. They get deep every year. I wouldn't be surprised to see them there again this year, but I think that Chiefs team is just so dominant. I think the Chiefs go back-to-back 100%.
Ben.
Back-to-back Chiefs. Okay. So my biggest sleeper to make the Super Bowl is definitely Las Vegas. I think they can play with anyone, which has been evident by them beating the Chiefs and playing really tight games with them. I would love to see them in the Super Bowl. I think that would be great for not only John Gruden, but also for the franchise, considering it's their first year in Las Vegas. Kind of be like a Las Vegas Golden Knights type of situation in hockey. But, yeah, and then so my sleeper for from the outside looking in, I think I like the Titans right now. I don't know. I feel like they have some momentum, and Derrick Henry always becomes a better player in the second half of the season. And he's been shown to own the Ravens over and over again. And I think he can run on anyone. So I think that gives them kind of an edge over the Ravens just in the hunt type situation. My Super Bowl pick, I want to say the Chiefs, but I feel like that's a little cliche. And honestly, I don't know how they're going to fare against the Steelers, but I also don't think the Steelers can beat good teams back to back to back just because they haven't really been tested all year. But I'm going to have to say my team representing the AFC is going to be the Chiefs, and then my team representing the NFC is going to be the Packers, and this is because of Drew Brees being hurt and because Tom Brady's really is kind of inconsistent right now. I think the Packers would ultimately win just because it's really hard to repeat, and I think the Chiefs have shown this year that they kind of struggle against some good teams, and I think Green Bay is a good team. If Green Bay can get the run defense going good, and if they can get Rodgers going good with Devontae Adams, and if Scantling shows up and Lazard shows up, I think they'll have a really good win.
Tell you what, the thing holding back the Packers is exactly what was holding back the Bengals against Indy. Our Mike Pettin, D coordinator, is so reliant on the bend but don't break when you're up. Give up these big yardage, keep the clock moving. It doesn't work, and it's been proven multiple times. So, I mean, we were just up 28-14 on the Colts, and then look what happens there. It just happens all the time. So Packers are definitely a team that I would throw in there. I was trying to stay away from the bias, but that, and then Matt LaFleur needs to stop being cute with his calls. We need to stop with the tunnel screens on the 1 yard line. We have to get back to the basics of just punching it in with your stellar running back and Aaron Jones. So it's frustrating to watch sometimes, but if they clean those things up, I completely agree with you.
So for me, my playoff sleeper, I'm going on the flip side. I'm going with the NFC, and I'm going to say the LA Rams have a really good shot at going pretty far in the playoffs. Jared Goff's, to me, not the most talented quarterback, but plays well in that McVay system. Cooper Kupp is extremely underrated. Robert Woods is playing really well. They have really nice tight ends. 3 decent enough running backs to get the job done. For me, I think the LA Rams can go places. My Super Bowl prediction is Chiefs and Tampa Bay. I think the Steelers are extremely overrated. Anyone in the NFL is really hard to get, and I understand that. But it's hard to say that they can go as far as winning the Super Bowl with, 8 or 9. Are they 9 wins? 9-0?
Steelers are currently 10-0.
10.
10 wins with only 3 of them being pretty quality. But I will have the Chiefs taking on Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay is a hard team to read right now because of what they did against the Saints. I think if they play well, they can compete with any team. For me, I have the Chiefs actually winning this. And then for a team that's in the hunt right now, I would go with any team from the NFC East. The Eagles, obviously not. Cowboys could get it going, but in that horrible division, you only need a few wins to get yourself into the playoffs. So with that will conclude our episode here, unless any of you guys got anything else left to say.
This just broke right as we started the episode. And before I say it, I want to say condolences out to the Dallas Cowboys family and the family of Marcus Paul. Strength and conditioning coach for the Dallas Cowboys, Marcus Paul, at 54, has died after a medical emergency Tuesday morning. So just our condolences to the Dallas Cowboys family and the family of Marcus Paul.
Yeah, if we got time here, it looks like we do. I got one question that just kind of popped up to my mind as so many people picked Kansas City to make it. Do you see Pat Mahomes being able to be in that situation where, like, the immaturity in the league and how he hasn't been in the league very long could possibly stop that team from doing something like repeating? Because when you look at the teams that repeated, it's usually veteran-led teams, dynasties that were created over years. Or on the flip side of that, do you think Pat Mahomes has already proven enough that it would be wrongful to doubt his experience in the NFL to this point, with him being former MVP and then Super Bowl MVP as well?
Am I good to go?
Yeah.
I think the latter half of your question tends to hold more truth. He has already proven he's a winner. I mean, they're 9-1, 8-1 this year already. They won a Super Bowl last year. I think the talent around him speaks for itself too. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Le'Veon Bell. That offense is ridiculous. And then you go on to the defensive side of the ball with Chris Jones, Tyrann Mathieu. I just think that whole team's complete. And whether Mahomes plays well or not, I still think that the Chiefs will repeat, whether Mahomes plays well or doesn't, or if lack of experience in the league shows.
Yeah. All right. Well, Zim, we'll let you talk, and then we'll finish it up.
For me, Pat Mahomes is the real deal. That is it. I never doubt, like, probably the best quarterback in the NFL. Yeah, without a doubt, best quarterback in the NFL right now. So he's always got a chance. I just was saying, from like a gambling, like, casino, Vegas has this weird way of, like, not letting people repeat, like, in the history of, like, the NFL.
Yeah.
It's like this weird thing that's going to happen, I think. And I think it's like a prime opportunity for the Steelers to just go through, I don't know, like, I don't want to be like a conspiracy theorist, but a lot of money is generated from the Cowboys and the Steelers in the NFL. The Steelers, it's been a while since they've been this good.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for all the support. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Hit us up at talk_odd on Twitter, OddBall Sport, Oddball Sports _.
Oddball_sports talk on Instagram.
Yeah, Brody's running that. But make sure you guys go check out Zim on the Orange is the New Black podcast with Ace Boogie on New Stripe City. Huge thanks to you, Zim. Thank you for coming on the show so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Zim.
Yeah,
Appreciate you guys, man. Good luck with everything. I love the show, man. That's awesome, man. You guys are cool.
All right,
Thank you
thanks.
so much. All right, we'll see you guys.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.